Good morning. At this time, we'll call to order the Board of County Commissioners meeting for January 4, 2018. Welcome to all of you. Would you join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Excuse me, we need a roll call. New year, the weather's cold. Why?
A couple weeks.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Here.
Commissioner Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Klicken.
Here.
Commissioner Osterhaus.
Here.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Here.
Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Chairman Eiler.
Here. All are present. We do have a quorum. Would you join with me now in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For those who are in attendance, if you have a noise-making device, would ask that you turn it to silent mode or off so as not to interfere with our electronic communications. We have no presentations to make this morning, so we'll turn to the public comment portion of our agenda. If you have an item you'd like to address the Commission about, which does not later appear on the agenda, we would welcome you to the podium, state your name and address. Limit your comments to 5 minutes. We'll be glad to receive that information. Is there anyone present?
My name is Bill Joyce, and I live at 4806 Belinda Court, Westwood, Kansas. And this is a letter in response to a letter from Paul Welcome, the Johnson County appraiser, and it's in regards to sale of two other properties, one which one of them is quite similar to my house. I have not seen anything stunning about the exterior appearance of the house on 48th Street either before or after the latest sale. The sales ranged from $108,000 to $250-some thousand. I walk past that street to the City Hall occasionally. It is more comparable to the subject. Its cramped location does not make it very desirable. It was probably built on the small lot due to mowing grass in the 1920s. The main point of this letter is that all previous years my BODA tax appeal hearing occurred in the autumn part of the year. This year, the next appeal is in February, and this 86-year-old taxpayer has physical problems that have existed since November 2012 when he passed out while working on the back of the house on a stepladder and fell among sharp digging yard and garden tools. He has been to the VA in Leavenworth and Topeka and to the Kansas Medical Services in Kansas City, Kansas and Westwood without any benefit. Now I am forced to drive a 25-year-old car about 140 miles in wintry condition because the Johnson County Appraiser Department had lied about the physical condition of the subject property since 1994. The roof is about 1,200 square foot of sagging roof since about 1979 or 1980, and roofing tiles since 1993. Windows from the salvage yard or two aluminum frame, possibly from cheap lumber yard. Buckled and cracked foundation walls from an ash tree too close to the house. The flat roof front door stoop leaks water into the wood framing, rotting the woodwork continuously, and many more exterior problems, which would cost over $132,000 to correct, plus about $50,000 to $60,000 for internal problems, or the value of repair equal to the county estimate of the house and land. Do you have any lawful reason why the Johnson County Appraiser Department and the Topeka BODA have completely ignored the 2009 order on reconsideration by the Court of Tax Appeals of the State of Kansas as stated, quote, "The court finds the subject property had structural, foundation, roof, and mechanical problems as well as dated decor. While the subject property is located in an area of residences with greater appraisal values, the physical condition and deferred maintenance in the subject property are clearly atypical. The taxpayer estimated the cost of repair was over $100,000, in quotes, now over $132,000, and the county did not present any specific evidence to dispute these repair costs. Based thereon, the court finds the subject property 2009 appraisal value is $84,900, unquote. Then I'll finish this off. How could the value increase $40,000 from 2009 to 2017 due to storms, Google damage, replacing water line, and 17-inch snow and 16-degree Fahrenheit? And then probably the next week I will go into these damages.
Thank you. Is there someone else? All right, there being no one else to be heard, the public comment portion of our agenda is concluded. I do have one note for the record this morning. I will be signing 2 agreements with the City of Shawnee for the construction of 2 stormwater projects known as 6200 block of Neiman Stormwater Improvement, and the other is Turkey Creek Trib from east of Neiman Road to east of Barton Street, Neiman Road Corridor Middle. That concludes the notes for the record. We'll move to our agenda because we did not have a meeting prior to today's meeting, the last one being December 21. All items are on the action agenda today. So would the clerk please read the proposed item number 1?
Item number 1, consider approving the December 7th, 2017 business session minutes.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the December 7 business session minutes. Are there any corrections or additions? There being none, the clerk please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Osterhaus.
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. Item number 2.
Consider approving the December 14th, 2017 business session minutes.
Move for approval. Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the December 14 business session minutes. Again, any corrections or additions? There being none, clerk please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Osterhaus.
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. Item number 3.
Consider authorizing the purchase of 5 ambulances and necessary patient handling equipment from Pinnacle Emergency Vehicles, LLC, in the amount of $1,597,000.
Mr. Davis.
Good morning. Thanks for allowing me to speak. My name is Paul Davis. I'm the Director of Johnson County MedAct. We're here to request your approval to purchase 5 ambulances and essential patient moving equipment from Pinnacle Emergency Vehicles in the amount of $1,597,000. As indicated in the briefing sheet, there are 3 sections for your consideration. Firstly is our request to purchase 4 new ambulances, 2018 model year, in the amount not to exceed $778,048. This purchase will be made from the MedAct Equipment Reserve Fund and is part of the Houston-Galveston Area Council Contract AM 1016, as indicated in the briefing sheet, which we can purchase from. Has been vetted by Treasury and Finance as well. Secondly, we have a request to purchase 1 new 2017 model year ambulance, which is a remount from the same company, Pinnacle Emergency Vehicles, in the amount not to exceed $142,000 $757. And this purchase also will be made from the MedAct Equipment Reserve Fund. Lastly, we're requesting the approval to purchase 3 Stryker ambulance cots and 6 Stryker stair chairs from the same company in the amount not to exceed $79,792. This purchase will be made from the MedAct Equipment Reserve Fund as well. This purchase is necessary to outfit the additional ambulances that we're requesting and replace some older equipment that has reached the end of its useful life cycle. The ambulances and the equipment purchase requested will help ensure that we have a safe and ready fleet. 3 ambulances we're requesting will replace the older ones who have reached the end of their life and that are starting to be a little more costly in the maintenance and operation. The other 2 ambulances will be added to our fleet as impact units later in the first quarter of 2018. This, of course, this addition is in line with our request for additional personnel that we presented for the 2018 budget that was approved earlier on. We'll also realize a savings totaling about $194,000 with this combined purchase. One of the savings is because we made some design changes to our rigs to remove some of the stuff that wasn't completely necessary for patient safety and paramedic safety. That was about $8,000 per truck. We're also realizing a multi-unit discount of about $15,500 per truck, and combine those all together for the 4 new ambulances, about $94,000. Also, because we're experimenting with a remount this year, using a box that we were able to determine is in good shape and not corroded beyond repair, and mount that on a new chassis, we're able to save about $100,000 off the price of a new truck of a similar style. That box will be completely refurbished and restored. Now, I want to make a point that we switched ambulance builders with the last evolution of ambulances from Horton to Braun. We're confident because of that change that we'll be able to pursue the remount option more in the future. The remounts may not always be feasible, but it gives us an option to save some dollars when we're purchasing a new ambulance. So we're confident in this ambulance builder that we could probably see 2 or 3 evolutions of a box saving a significant amount of money. So our request then is that the Commission approve and authorize a contract with Pinnacle Emergency Vehicles, LLC, and to trade in 1 ambulance in order to purchase 5 mentioned ambulances, and also the Stryker equipment in the amount not to exceed $1,597,000. This equipment, of course, will be used by your ambulance service and your paramedics to provide the excellent service that our Johnson County citizens have become accustomed to.
Mr. Davis, the one, I think is the 1 vehicle where you're going to continue to use the box but a new chassis, do you see that as offering potential savings in the future if it's successful?
I do. With the manufacturer of that particular box, we looked at some other boxes of similar age and found that there was a lot of corrosion. This particular box is in really good shape, and it can be refurbed and for minimal cost. With the new ambulance builder, they take steps to prevent that corrosion, and we expect that they will be long-lasting and be able to use those again.
Okay. You mentioned the two new vehicles to be used for what you called impact services.
Yes, sir.
Would you explain what you mean in that regard?
Yes, sir. So with our 2018 request for additional personnel resources, we realized that there was a need in the central core of the county, basically the entire county, to achieve some, to make sure that we were able to meet the call volume during the peak hours, typically between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. We know that could vary based on call demand, and so those units, 2 more units, will be used to staff ambulances about 8 hours a day over a staggering time period to meet those call demands, rush hour, high volume calls in the core in the southern part of the county.
All right. Mr. Ashcraft, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, a couple of comments. First of all, I wanted to tell you I thought your briefing sheet was very good, an excellent job of kind of outlining the thought process. So I appreciate that very much. And I want to ask you a question. I think it says it here, but it doesn't say it exactly. But is this part of our established vehicle replacement program for equipment like this?
It is, and I'll give credit for the briefing sheet to my staff, Drew Heisel and Debbie Attic. So that they were very helpful in pulling those numbers together, Drew, particularly with the history.
Very good. Well, and so I commend them. Thank you very much. One elaboration, though. You make reference to the primary fleet and the reserve fleet of 3.5 years and 6.7 years. Well, is there a magic to those numbers, or I mean, what's the thought process? Because sometimes when you do that analysis, it's kind of the value of the equipment and that you can recoup and the turnover, and not necessarily listed or linked to the years, but maybe it is. And I was just wondering if you could elaborate on that, or we could talk about it offline. I was just curious about that process.
Commissioner, no magic to those numbers. It's typically based on average, and we'll look nationwide for busy systems like ours, that in about 4 years we achieve a certain amount of mileage and wear and tear on the vehicle, that 4-year period is about the time that those ambulances need to be replaced or moved to second line. Sometimes they're still in good shape and can make a good reserve unit. Sometimes they just have to go away. Particularly with the reserve units in the 7-year life, there's a certain amount of idle time, sit time, and we always want to be careful that the cost of operation isn't getting close to the cost of ownership. So we want to make sure that we're not throwing good money after bad. And so that's why we establish a timeline.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Osterhaus, do you have a question?
I do. Thank you, Chairman. Paul, you had talked about, all that, I'm kind of piggybacking off Commissioner Ashcraft here, but do you feel like this is the correct number? We're approving 5, but do you feel like that's the correct number, or would you, in an ideal world, need more, take more? What I'm getting at is I'm trying to address, as we get ready to go into the budget for next year, I'm trying to address if there's needs that you feel like you have, and I know that you'll have conversations with budget staff and that sort of thing, but do you feel like 5 is the right number, the right size for replacement and that sort of thing?
With all due respect, and from my conservative approach to purchasing, that's the right number. Now, we do anticipate needs for more, that there are things coming down the pike, agreements, that we'll anticipate being up here before you asking for additional, but at this point in time, this is the right number.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure that I think MedEx is one of our more important departments, and I want to make sure that you know that you can always, if you feel like you need additional resources, come to us, because I know there's some rumors out there that we want to gut government, and I want you to make sure that you don't feel that that's the necessary or.
I appreciate that commitment, but likewise, we're going to do our part to maintain and make sure we're good partners within the county.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Allen.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, on the new boxes that we're going to, if we're able to reuse those 3 times, based on your average, we'd be close to between 11 and 12-year lifespan on those boxes?
Yeah, I think it's probably a dream, but I'd like to try to see, and I might get some darts shot at me from behind. I'd like to see us get 15 years out of those boxes.
Well, to me, that appears to be good news, because it appears the boxes are frankly more expensive than the chassis.
Indeed.
And I'm going to piggyback on Commissioner Osterhaus is a strong supporter of MEDAC, and to rotate those chassis out at an appropriate time, especially if you don't incur the cost of replacing them with a new box every time, will make it easier. In fact, the tipping point, I think, if you extract the box from it and then the repairs and everything that you're maintaining on the vehicles. I drive by Shawnee Mission Ford a lot, and I see, or when I get my own vehicle serviced, I see several of those ambulances in there. So I just think it appears we're on a new program that maybe has some significant cost savings to the county, but still to provide premier service with up-to-date vehicles. So thank you for at least trying, and hopefully this is successful.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Plica.
Mr. Davis, I agree. What you've done, you've separated this vehicle into two types of equipment to be replaced, by dealing with the chassis and doing that on a 4-year replacement basis, and then doing the boxes on maybe a 6-7-year basis, whatever that amounts to. But definitely is going to help move this program forward a lot quicker. The simple question I have here is, I'm trying to read through your numbers. In order to get you up to the 3.5 4-year replacement criteria, after this purchase, how many vehicles will fall under that?
I would suspect that they're going to...
That we can anticipate coming in the spring budget here.
We're going to be seeking 3 more. We'll continue to seek 2 or 3 a year, depending on the year, to make sure we meet our replacement cycle.
So you're looking at around 3 coming up this budget cycle?
Yes, sir.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Chairman. Question for you. A statement of the obvious. When someone dials 911, reliability and dependability matter. So the chassis, I support this completely. Question for you. There are 3 ways to look at equipment and the lifespan and replacement cycles. You've got mileage, you've got age, and then you've got hours. I would think hours would be a critical. Do those machines have Hobbs meters, hour meters on them, and do you factor that into the replacement cycle time?
They do. And in fact, for every mile, we can probably account that the hours would increase that mileage by about 3.5 times.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Klicka?
I do have follow-up. Mr. Davis, you said that we're only going to need, that you anticipate having 3 in this next cycle. And chances are the 3 that may be coming up for replacement, will those boxes be able to be protected, or at least somehow or another a combination within the next 3?
I don't know. We'll have to reevaluate the boxes that we have currently. The new ambulances that we got from Braun, we don't anticipate remounting those for a few years yet because they're still on good chassis. The previous manufacturer, we've discovered some areas on the ambulances that are terribly corroded. They're not unsafe, but it would be very costly to remount those, probably as much as a new ambulance.
The reason I'm bringing this up, and I don't mean to open a can of worms here, but based on the boxes, by the change in the replacement criteria for the boxes, if we don't have to replace the boxes, it's a savings, at least in the next 3 vehicles, of about $300,000. Is it correct?
If those boxes can be remounted.
Right. And so I guess I'm wondering, is that brings down the cost of these vehicles by almost 1/3, if not more. And are we going to lose the window of opportunity, not including those 3 in this purchase, or are we going to see increase in cost when you want to do this 6 or 8 months down the line? I guess the question I'm wondering, is it best to do an award here based on 5 plus, with the potential of trying to seal in and maybe a price deal for the next 3?
I'm reluctant to ask for that based on the remount question, because I couldn't guarantee that we would be able to remount any more boxes based on their condition.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to address the commission on this item? There being no one to be heard, Mr. Osterhaus, you have a motion?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I move to authorize the purchase of 5 2017/2018 model year ambulances with supplemental Stryker equipment from Pinnacle Emergency Vehicles, LLC, for use by Johnson County MedAct in a net amount not to exceed $1,597, to be paid from the MedAct Equipment Reserve Fund per Houston Galveston Area Contract HGAC Contract AM10-16.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to authorize the purchase of the vehicles as noted. Any further questions or discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Osterhaus.
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. Next item.
Item number 4, consider approving an interlocal agreement and procedures agreement with the City of Olathe for its Neighborhood Revitalization District and Plan.
Mr. Lind.
Rick Lind with the Legal Department. The City of Olathe adopted a resolution establishing a neighborhood revitalization district and a neighborhood revitalization plan. The district and plan provide a program for neighborhood revitalization involving incentives for property owners to improve aging and deteriorating property or otherwise stimulate new construction and rehabilitation, conservation, redevelopment of an area. The district in question has approximately 178 parcels of land. In order to fully implement the plan, the city has requested the county, along with some other taxing entities, to enter into this interlocal agreement to cooperate in providing tax incentives to approved properties located within the designated district. As you can see on the map, the blue was the previous district, which they're asking to renew. The red is an addition to that district. So the new agreement and plan encompasses both the blue and red area. Just to give you a few highlights, since I know we didn't have agenda review last time, there will be a 10-year application period under the plan beginning after the approval from the taxing jurisdictions. Approved applications may continue for a 10-year period after approval, so the revitalization program may actually continue some rebates until 2038. How that would work is if you get to the end of that 10-year period and they come in that at the very end, then they get 10 years after that. Eligible owners of multiple family residential, industrial, and commercial properties must expend an investment of $10,000 of improvements, which result in an increase in assessed valuation of the properties of 10% in order to be eligible. Eligible owners of single-family residential must expend an investment of $5,000 of improvements, resulting in an increase in assessed valuation of 5%. Qualified property shall be eligible then for an 80% rebate in the tax increment increase to improvements for multifamily, residential, industrial, and commercial, and a 90% rebate in the tax increment increase for those for single-family residential. The rebate is paid to the property owner for each year for the 10-year period as long as the property owner remains eligible, and that would include paying their property taxes. Under the plan and the proposed agreements, the county shall receive 2.5% of the tax increase for helping to administer the plan, which is RTA and the appraiser's office help and the treasurer's office help implement those plans. The city shall retain approximately 17.5% of the increase on multifamily, residential, industrial, and commercial, and 7.5% of the increase on single family, which they use to expend on public improvements and funding of loan and grant improvements within the district. There should be representatives of the city here today to answer any questions you may have, and I'd be happy to also do so.
Questions, Mr. Lynn? Mr. Edgecraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Lynn, I'll ask these questions, and if you want to divert them to the city representative, please feel free.
Okay.
A few questions. The material that was provided to us doesn't appear to include any kind of cost-benefit analysis, so I was trying to get a sense. Is this for rehabbing of existing property only, or will it also include new development, construction of new homes, new businesses? Do they also qualify for these tax breaks? And this is the second iteration of this proposal, somewhat of an expansion, I believe. I'm just wondering what was the success, the use of it prior, and was it successful, and how do we measure success? So,
is there a representative of the city here? Oh, there we go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee. My name is Daniel Yoza. I'm Assistant City Attorney with the City of Olathe. This is an extension of the 2008 area. You can see there on the blue. In answer to the questions, this plan had a couple of tweaks to it to deal with some of the previous plans issues. So one of them is that only rehabs would qualify for it. So only rehabs on existing properties would be eligible. New greenfield development wouldn't be eligible for the rebates. In answer to the cost-benefit analysis question, it's not required by statute, and I think unlike some other economic development plans, the work, the improvement has to be completely finished and the taxes have to be paid on it, and at that point the rebate is issued. So in the life of the 2008 plan, we saw an increase in valuation of about $4.5 million of property valuation increase, and then the tax rebates that were paid from all taxing jurisdictions ran about $200,000 in rebates, remembering, of course, that these only last 10 years and they drop off after 10 years. So we'll probably see that number start to tail off as the people that applied in 2008 start to drop off in 2018.
Is that $200,000 a year or $200,000?
Total.
Oh, okay.
Total, yeah. It's a smaller program. I think we've had about 50 or so applications approved.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Again, is there anyone present who would like to address the commission on this item? There's no one to be heard. It's back for the commission. A motion would be in order. Mr. Klicka?
I move that the board approve the interlocal agreement and procedures agreement regarding the Olathe Neighborhood Revitalization District and Plan.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the interlocal agreement with the City of Olathe for the Neighborhood Revitalization District and Plan as noted. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka?
Aye.
Commissioner Osterhaus?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Chairman Eilert?
Aye. Motion carried. Next item.
Item number 5, resolution number 005-18, consider amending the Contractor Licensing Review Board regulations by removing the current requirement that a member must wait 1 year before being reappointed as a member of the CLRB.
Mr.
Thank you.
Ford.
Bob Ford, Legal Department. In 2001, the Contractor Licensing Review Board was created with 9 members on its governing board who are appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. Each member serves a 4-year term, but under the current regulations are required to sit out a year before reappointment. While this was originally believed to be a method to foster a broader, more inclusive participation on the CLRB, the 1-year wait between terms has made it challenging to retain conscientious and well-qualified members who would be willing to serve successive terms. Several current members whose terms are expiring are willing to be reappointed. However, under the current regulations, these individuals are not eligible because of the 1-year restriction. Once a member leaves office, past experience has shown that there's less interest in seeking reappointment. Several of the current members have been involved in the program for many years and have served on committees while waiting a year to pass so they might be reappointed. However, staff considers the requirement for a 1-year break to no longer serve a beneficial purpose, but is hindering the retainage of individuals with a familiarity and commitment to the program. So the resolution before you would remove the current restriction that members sit out 1 year before they can be eligible for reappointment.
I think that change is very, very appropriate, especially on this body. Are there any further questions? Mr. Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ford, do you have any insights into why that 1-year period was originally established? What were they trying to accomplish? Do you have any idea?
I was here and I participated in the drafting of this, and I don't have any recollection why that was in there. I can speculate, and I put in a briefing sheet that I think it was to foster a broad involvement in the organization, which was new at the time, innovative at the time, and there was a lot of interest amongst building officials and contractor groups to be part of this new deal. Now it's become, I think, more difficult to find people that are willing to come here and for free and do the job.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Again, anyone present who would like to speak to the commission on this item? No one to be heard. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the board adopt Resolution 005-18, amending the Contractor License Review Board regulations by removing the current requirement that a member must wait 1 year before being reappointed as a member of the CLRB.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the resolution 005-18 in regards to the Contractor Licensing Review Board. Any further questions or comments? Being none, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka?
Aye.
Commissioner Osterhaus?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Chairman Eilert?
Aye. Motion carried. Are there any other items?
No, sir.
All right, moving to reports and communications. Ms. Penny Postoke Ferguson.
Good morning. This is a long report, so bear with me. The first page has districts and plans for TIF districts, so I'll run through those. The City of Lenexa, on December 5th, the City of Lenexa passed an ordinance adopting the first amended redevelopment Plan 3, which removes approximately 4.75 acres from the original 106-acre project Plan 3. A copy of the ordinance, project plan, feasibility study are attached. This is in the area of northeast corner of Renner and 95th. The City of Overland Park, this one's a TIF district. On December 18th, they passed a resolution and gave notice for a public hearing to be held on January 22nd, 2018, to establish a new proposed TIF district and transferring a portion of an existing TIF district, the Market Lofts district, into the Edison district, if created, near 80th and Marty. The next one is City of Roland Park, and this is a district, or amendment of. On December 18th, the City of Roland Park adopted a resolution calling for a public hearing to be held February 19th, 2018 at 7 p.m. The city proposed to amend the district plan and redevelopment plan to merge Project Area 1A and Project Plan 1B and to finance additional redevelopment projects within the amended Project Area Number 1. The next one is the City of Shawnee. This is a district. On Monday, July 10th, the City of Shawnee passed an ordinance for the project plan and redevelopment district. This was discovered late in the process when they sent the next one over to us. They are required to send it to us by the end of the year. It was into effect the same month, on July 18th. They discovered it as administrative oversight, so they sent it along with the other one that they sent, and they did send it by the end of the year to us. The next one is, again, in the City of Shawnee, and it says in their cover sheet that it's the same location as the previous one. However, that was, again, their error. The attachments are correct, the resolution and the maps, 75th and Quivira area. On Monday, December 18th, they passed that, and so with that, I'll take questions at the end. I'm going to jump to the SERI reports. The Johnson County non-residential building permit report for November 2017. For the number of new structures of any value and additions over 250,000, the year-to-date numbers are fairly similar. Year-to-date November this year is 129 permits versus 110 last year. The construction value is $638 million this year compared to $672 last year. And the next is a consumer confidence report from SERI, December 2017. The one I will highlight is the index is up 21.6 points, the consumer confidence index, ahead of this time last year. And the next two items are related to reserves. The sheriff's office is requesting additional $1.5 million for the operating budget, and I will say up to because they're still fine-tuning the number, so it'll be slightly less than 1.5. You may recall in the budget last year when we adopted the resolution, we anticipated that this need would be likely, and it's been monitored between the budget office and the sheriff's office pretty closely throughout the year. This is partially due to significant increase in hiring in 2017, so long-term, it will be less overtime. But in the meantime, they have to train additional staff, and so with the timing, part of the resolution allowed the county manager to do it administratively, so I wanted to inform you that I am doing this per the resolution. And Sheriff's Office is here if there's more questions on that. The other item related to reserves is, by policy, the county manager has $250,000 that we can do budget revisions, which means you can take money from reserves to departments if needed. And you see the list in there. All of them are under $100,000, but I wanted to just disclose that to you. So with that, I'll take questions.
The interim county manager and I have had discussions about these last two items, and she is correct. She does have the authorization as per the budget. However, if there's anyone who would like to confirm that decision, we can have a motion to do so. Mr. Ashcraft.
Mr. Chairman, I'm good with the way it stands, but I had some related questions.
All right, well, let's focus on those last two items. Any other questions on the last two items?
I'm fine with Penny approving it. We already approved it with the budget, so I just was curious. The total number, Penny, between the sheriff and the DA was roughly around 1.5 million. Is that right?
The sheriff is approximately 1.5 million. The DA, in the memo, it outlines the district attorney is, they have 27 for witness fee expenses and 65,000 for personnel related.
So roughly 1.6 up to, right?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay. I just mentioned that because there's been some rumors out there that we're trying to gut government and we're not, willing to spend when it's necessary. So I just wanted to clarify a few of those particular rumors that might be out there. Thank you, Penny.
Mr. Allen, did you have?
I'd go ahead and make a motion to authorize the Sheriff's Office additional funds for the fiscal year 2017 operating budget, and also the District Attorney additional use of general fund reserves.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to confirm the decision in regards to the Sheriff's Office and the District Attorney's Office for additional funding as included in the budget. Mr. Ashcraft.
Mr. Chairman, I'm supportive of that. That's fine. I did have some clarifying questions, though, if I could. First, on the sheriff, and I understand the ramping up of the staffing and the impact. I was wondering if there was any further information in terms of what the sheriff foresees as the savings, because that has been an issue, a long-standing issue. And I appreciate the sheriff's success on being fully staffed, although technically I suppose you're probably never fully staffed, but much closer to it. So is there an analysis? Is that something that you will be providing to the commission either at the budget process or you can speak to now?
Yes, Commissioner. Basically this year we've hired over 100 new employees. And the issue we run into is the training of all those employees. It extends us out approximately a year to get them all trained and equipped and staffed and entered into the workforce. So that's what this money is basically for. We should have substantial reductions in overtime next year. Now, the key to that is retaining these employees, and that's what we intend to do. So that's the big major issue. We'll give you some numbers. It should be fairly good. There's a staffing study being done right now by the auditors. We're looking forward to that. It should be coming in very shortly, I think. But at this point, we're waiting for that to come in, and so we can put those numbers together, and we should have them for you as soon as we get everything put together.
Okay, fair point. Could you clarify, though, when you say next year, fiscal year 2019?
2019.
Okay, thank you. Follow-on question, but on the next item, but I can.
For the record, you are Sheriff Cal Hayden.
Yes, I am. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Any other question, Mr. Klicka?
Sheriff, first of all, I've really supported you getting this overtime or getting your staff up in line, recognizing that it will have an impact on overtime. But I guess the one thing I just want to make sure we get our expectations in check is that for a long time you've been understaffed. You've put in a lot of overtime costs in doing so. But at the same time, your numbers as far as the staff or the full complement, to me, as I was looking through the numbers over the last year or two, have been probably short. And you've, even though we've upped the overtime, my gut tells me is that I don't think we're going to see a great decrease or a great savings in the overall personnel costs, because once you are fully staffed, and keeping it fully staffed, it's got a cost in itself. You may reduce a little bit of the overtime, but overall, I think your personnel costs may be up a little bit. So while I appreciate that, I just want to make sure our expectations are in check here. As you bring in your budget down the line, you're going to show a fully complemented or a fully authorized staffing level, and that includes all the benefits and everything that go with it. It may not be as much savings as you'd like to see.
You know, Commissioner, you're absolutely right. And when we look at fully staffed, we're looking at fully staffed for several years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the issue here. We're trying to get caught up to, I mean, I think we've been understaffed for many years. So we're looking at staffing for 4 to 5 years ago. And the county's grown. We've got a lot of programs that we need to do. So I'm going to be coming back to you guys. And Commissioner Osterhaus, keep that train of thought that you're supportive of law enforcement, because I'm going to need you, sir.
So.
But thank you all very much.
Any other questions on the motion that's before us? Mr. Ashcraft?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Postoke Ferguson, on the next item, the Attorney General, and this was a combined one motion for both these, was it not?
Right.
Okay. On the Attorney General, the item B and D, could you elaborate a little bit on the cost due to reclassification and equity adjustments, what that includes? And then on D, cost related to transfer of staff from the Sheriff's Office. So there was an increase in the District Attorney's Office, so was there a corresponding decrease in the Sheriff's Office?
I will ask Tom Dugan from the Budget Office to expand on that.
Okay.
Tom Dugan with the Budget Office. Yes, actually, there was a decrease from the Sheriff's Department as well. In 2018, we'll transfer more funds, and it won't be an issue for Human Resources for that item. For the District Attorney, they had the Human Resources Department review 3 different sets of positions, and I think it's upwards to 15 or 20 different staff in different positions, and that happened over the last 18 months. And the result of that was they reclassified several of those positions, and that drove the cost up.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, there being none, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka?
Aye.
Commissioner Osterhaus?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Chairman Eilert?
Aye. Motion carried. Questions on any of the other aspects of the manager's report? All right. That concludes reports and communications, so we will move to commission comments. Mr. Schaefer.
Nothing to add other than the fact that there's going to be a celebration of Amber's retirement this afternoon, as we wish her best in her future endeavors.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Klickin.
Also want to express my appreciation to Amber and wish her the best.
Mr. Ashcraft.
Well, it's definitely the Amber Fan Club. I wish her well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Allen.
Same, I've enjoyed working with Amber the last 9 years, and wish her well in her future endeavors.
Mr. Osterhaus.
Well, I'll keep the train going and say thank you to Amber, who even though as she's moving up to her last days here, still is ordering and doing things and coordinating stuff for us. So I've always appreciated her work and dedication. So thank you, Amber.
Mr. Brown.
I will wrap it up from the Big Six with a follow-up on and piggybacking on everyone else's comment. Amber, I as a new commissioner, and I can only say that for, I think, a few more days, but it's still in my first year, she has been invaluable in helping me figure out where the pens are, how communications work, where things are at, and I have enjoyed working with her and seeing her here, and I wish her the very best, and we'll miss her greatly. Thank you.
Well, I would just second those. I will have additional comments to make this afternoon during the recognition. Further, today at 5 p.m. at the Johnson County Community College, and I assume this is in the Rainier Center or the atrium adjoining thereof, will be the Johnson County reception for members of our legislative delegation. And then on Sunday, the 7th, there will be a Martin Luther King 50th anniversary celebration at Johnson County Community College, the Carlson Center, and that will be from 3 to 5 p.m. Further today, we have study sessions with the wastewater department in regards to the Byron Nelson plant and the Tomahawk facilities. And then we'll also spend some time in regards discussion of the county manager's search opportunity. Those will begin at 11 a.m. or as soon thereafter as we can gather in rooms 202, 204. Members of the press and public are always invited. So that concludes the items on our printed agenda. We'll take a short break and come back for agenda review for next week. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.